Over the course of her career, a working woman with a college degree will earn, on average, hundreds of thousands of dollars less than a man who does the same work.
It has been half a century since the Equal Pay Act passed, and although the hourly wage gap has narrowed, studies show that pay inequality endures. Before 1963, women and men signed up for the same job and position but with different salaries. Now, a woman is required to earn the same amount a man does for the same job, yet 52 years later, on average, women are still robbed 23 cents of every dollar a man makes.
The reality is that women still only make 77 cents of every dollar that a man makes. That's the reality. Today, 2014.
That 77% is an average that compares the salaries of all men and women with full-time jobs. But it doesn't compare apples to apples, doctors to doctors, teachers to teachers. It doesn't take into account that more men choose to be engineers and more women choose to be social workers, or that many women take time out of the workforce and men tend to put in longer hours.
Even with groundbreaking laws such as the Civil Rights Act, the Equal Pay Act, the Fair Labor Standards, this gender wage gap is still an issue.
Lower wages impact women all throughout their working lives, and these lower lifetime earnings translate into less security in retirement. According to our report, the average annual income, this is average annual income for women age 65 and older, is about $11,000 less than it is for men.
Although the Equal Pay Act helped curb the problem of same pay, same job issue, it didn't solve it in its entirety. So that means that the gender wage gap still exists, and it's narrowing at a slower pace than ever before.
According to a study performed by Pew Research Center, the rate at which the wage gap is closing has narrowed, from 11 cents in the 1980s to 6 cents in the 2000s. This means that 2 decades ago, the wage gap closed quicker than it's closing now. That means that if we continue closing the gap at this pace, it would take approximately 44 years until there is a full decrease in the wage gap.
And with that, all anyone could focus on was not how to fix this problem, but how to quantify it.
The Labor Department itself, the president's own Labor Department, says it's 81 cents.
Another federal study, for example, says the disparity is more like 88 cents for every dollar.
The so-called wage gap is mostly, perhaps entirely, an artifact of the different choices men and women make.
Women who do not get married have virtually no wage gap. They earn 96 cents.
Even if 96 cents is the number, which it isn't, it's still terrible. If someone takes a dump on my desk, the size of the dump is not the issue. I'm not going to say, well, how big of a dump is it? Just 3 inches? Well, that's almost like you didn't take a dump on my desk at all.
So why is the wage gap persisting? This can be explained by 2 theories. Human capital theory states that a person's qualifications, age, education, work experience, and history is responsible for the gap. Women are paid lower because of the fewer hours they work due to familial responsibilities. In theory, all these choices lead to less human capital because they won't ever have the same work experience as a man. The second theory, the discrimination theory, includes different treatments because of biased assessments and expectations of productivity. Many blame the difference in pay to women's choices regarding motherhood.
Tengo un bebé de 4 meses, so tengo que cuidarlo y es difícil trabajar cuando tienes un bebé tan pequeño, pero cuando ella crezca y lo pueda enviar a su daycare, quisiera trabajar y quisiera tener los mismos beneficios que tienen los hombres, pues porque si hacemos el mismo trabajo deberíamos tener igual salario.
Whether intentional or unintentional, employers would rather hire a man than deal with hiring a woman who needs flexible hours to deal with her second job, home. A University of California professor, Joan Williams, calls this the maternal wall, referring to discrimination of women based on the assumption that they will be less committed to their jobs.
There are milestones where society has to change in order to support women. When women have children, it shouldn't be a penalty to them that they lose out in their professional movement forward, okay? Because women physically have to have the baby, right? Men don't physically have to have the baby. So why should a woman then be penalized because she's having a child?
There's always going to be that pressure to be in the office and at home. That's to be expected. Men don't have that pressure to stay at home, to be at home.
In reality, women are more educated than ever before. According to the Labor Department in 2012 survey, 32% of women have a bachelor's degree at age 27. Yet women make up 20% of the Senate, 18% of the House of Representatives, and only 4.2% of Fortune 500 companies have female CEOs. We live in a society where women make up less than 20% of the decision making.
Women deserve equal pay for equal work. It is time to do away with workplace policies that belong in a Mad Men episode.
In order to move to equality, we need to push past the gender roles set by society.
If you're unmarried and childless between the ages of 35 and 43, the statistics show you make $1.08 on average to every male dollar.
We can't expect anything to change if we don't take the first step.
If you empower the woman or the woman in the house and teach her how to manage her dollars and how to manage her life, she's going to take the family with her, okay? She's going to make sure that her spouse, if she has a spouse, or her children, they're all going to come.